Welcome to another episode of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We're going to be going over UFC 302, which took place last night in New Jersey. Episode 170 of the Breakdown. Man, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. I got to shout out Pat and the boys. Got the espresso teeny locked up here, ready to go.
Ooh, that looks good. That looks good. I'm rocking the white long drink, even though my green screen. There you go. You can kind of see it now. Shout out. And I got some mango liquid death, bro. Fuck yeah, let's get it.
Nice. Liquid Deaths are fire, low key.
But yeah, man, overall, not my favorite card ever. Both like on paper and in reality, because it's kind of the two ways we talk about pay-per-views. Like on paper, like how are they? And then like, how does it exceed expectations, fall short of expectations? And I think it's like I had pretty low expectations, so I don't think it was worse than my expectations. I don't know. Not a banger of a pay-per-view, but
I would
some redeeming qualities on the main card.
I would say I had low expectations for all but maybe 3 fights, and then out of those 3 fights, 2 definitely underperformed my expectations. So I felt let down, and that was with low expectations. I felt like this was a decision merchants card. If you like watching decisions, if you bet the overs, you loved this card.
Yeah, and then from a betting perspective, another week not in the green. However, we both won about half of our money back, give or take a little bit. But I wanted to point out because I was feeling pretty bummed out whenever I realized we weren't going to be in the green again. But then after the fight, I went back and was reevaluating my picks. And dude, I mean, I went 8 for 11 on picks. Like it's just how we assembled the parlay. One fight fucked us particularly hard in particular. And like there's a fight that I picked correctly, but I bet the over under and missed that. So like we're seeing the board well. We really are. Kind of sounds like an excuse, but like we're seeing the board well. We just got to kind of pick our spots a little better, I guess you can say.
It's like, playing a good game, just can't bring it through in the fourth quarter, in all honesty. That's kind of how it feels. Like we're doing everything right up to that last little bit, and if we just get that little bit right, we're going to be sailing through money.
No, for sure, brother. And we're still in the green on the year, so you can't be mad. It's still can't go broke taking a profit. But man, we got Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Islam obviously the lightweight champ, taking on the challenger Poirier, ranked 4, 35 years old is Poirier. Plus 440 dog, minus 600 for Islam. I mean, huge money line. I gotta say, fight was much closer than the money line would have you believe, or that Vegas thought it was going to be. Kind of saved the whole card, basically. I mean, like, we're just talking about not our favorite card ever, and that's what, like, after the Strickland Costa fight in the co-main, and the main event was about to start, and I was already kind of not thrilled with our bets, not thrilled with the card. Just overall wasn't really that, juice, wasn't having too great of a time. And then, like, I was like, all right, cool. Now we're about to get this fucking dog walking to capstone off this dog shit pay-per-view. And we actually got a very competitive fight. So it was kind of redeeming quality of the pay-per-view for sure.
Yeah, so effectively for 5 hours, there wasn't a good, and the card in total is like 6.5 hours. So for about 5 hours, there wasn't a fight that like had me out of my seat going crazy. You could argue like Holland Oleksiejczuk, great fight, but I mean
that saved it for me as well. Up until that fight, I was like quite literally bored. I love watching this sport. I look forward to Saturdays. It's how I spend my Saturdays. I was literally not having a good time until the Kevin Holland fight.
Yeah, that's how I feel, and I feel like since Hafez and Gall, like I very much enjoyed that fight. Like visually, it was just a fun fight, right? And from that point until Holland and Oleksiejczuk, I didn't really have a fight that I was just loving. And we'll get to that later in the breakdown, but that is my interpretation of this card is that mostly underperformed outside of the main event. Now, here we are at the main event, and like you said, the odds were crazy. This probably is Dustin's final chance at a belt, so it makes it all the more special, I guess, or momentous, however you want to look at it. It's the last. He's had so many opportunities. This is the last opportunity, so it means the most, right?
The custom shorts were sick too. All
right, well, let's get into the gold gloves because we have a disagreement. I like the gold. I just don't like it being the whole glove. I wish the UFC lettering was gold and the glove was black.
Yeah, and that would probably look good too. it's one of the things I expected to hate it because I've been seeing him obviously on Instagram and stuff all week. Seeing him in the cage, like in the walkout and shit, I totally changed my mind. And I don't really have like an in-depth breakdown. Just it passed the smell test for me. I don't know. I didn't hate it.
I also have the odd take. I think that only Islam should have gotten gold gloves because Dustin's not a champion. Why does he have to wear gold? That doesn't make. He might be fighting for it, but he's not the champion at the time he's wearing them. So
the same logic that's applied to the shorts, right? Logic that's applied to the shorts.
Yeah, like the champion gets to wear the colors befitting a champion, gold and black, as John Anik always says.
Yeah, for sure. I don't hate that take, but like I said, I also just overall just didn't hate the way they did it. It's only the championship fight. For a second there, I thought every fight, like on all the gloves were gold. I didn't even see. So I'm glad that's not the case. I'm glad it's all. But championship fights, fuck it. Let's add a little sauce to it. I'm here for it. But also your point makes perfect sense. I'm not pushing back too hard.
Let me ask you one other question just about gloves, and we'll get into breaking down round by round. We do have to go round by round, even though there is a finish at some point in this fight. What do you think about? I know how UFC is always in white lettering. What if the red and blue corner, right? Like you fight in red or blue corner. What if your gloves had red lettering or blue lettering? Like, I think that would actually help visually knowing whose hand was where.
You know what, man? I think you're overestimating like our ability to see the font on the gloves.
You can see color though. You can see blue and red.
Yeah, but it would be so small and like I don't know. And another example is I believe last night. Now that you mention it, the lettering started to come off of Islam's gloves. I don't know if you saw that.
Ever since they changed to Venom or whoever makes them now 3858, it's happening all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, overall, gold gloves. I'm kind of here for it. It's neither here nor there. Like after the initial walkout, I kind of didn't cross my mind again the whole fight. So. It is what it is. They definitely didn't do the whole like limiting eye pokes thing. I don't know what people expected from a new glove. We got everybody all week. All the fighters kept saying it was a thinner glove, but then we got less knockouts.
Yeah.
So like I think it's a nothing burger, as they say. I just think it kind of in a couple of weeks we'll forget that they even changed gloves.
It feels like the new helmets in the NFL. Like concussions were slightly down. Like barely. So it's like, as a fan, I didn't notice a difference between the fitted like helmets per position or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good analogy. Watch an NFL game, like every 5 years, they'll come out with a new like Revolution or Revolution Speed or whatever they're calling it. That's what it was back when we played. I'm sure there's some new name.
Guardian caps.
So that's actually going to be a big one.
That's actually different. That one's actually different. Yeah. That's why I didn't say Guardian caps and went with the Revo position fits.
But like you know what, like I remember like a couple of years ago when George Kittle switched helmets, like there was literally like articles written about how ugly this helmet looked.
Yeah.
And then here we are a couple of years later, nobody gives a fuck. It just kind of becomes the norm. So yeah, I think we'll quickly forget the new gloves. But man, like you said, we got to go round by round here. I do think the scorecards were all over the place, even though they ended up not being needed.
There's a judge who has it tied going into 5.
Well, I did as well.
I don't hate it. I have it 39-37 going into 5. However, I have a caveat in there that says if you give 2 to Poirier, because 1, we all agree is Islam. That's not debatable. Literally gets to take down 45 seconds in after getting a hard right, though. Did take a hard right at the start, like cut his eye slightly. And then, which gave me confidence for Poirier, especially after Poirier survived with him on his back for so long, just like Volk. Like, Islam does not finish on the back on the ground very well. If he can get you standing on your back, he's a lot better there, which we'll get to later. But, so yeah, 10-9 Makhachev. You get to round 2, man. Poirier, honestly, I think gained a lot of confidence from surviving on the ground. And then he started to stuff takedowns. He did probably more damage. I mean, Islam had a little bit...
do more damage.
Islam had a little more control time and did do damage, but I thought Poirier won the damage battle. And so depending on how you're measuring it, I wasn't on Joe Rogan's side of the way he was valuing damage. I'll say that. Because he was saying some crazy shit, like one punch can win a round type shit. And I was like, okay, let's hold on.
Well, I'll put it this way. I scored round 2 for Dustin. I too thought he won the damage battle, the strike battle. As Islam got that late takedown, though, at the end of the round. Didn't really do much with it. And like I
Did
said, Dustin was
nothing with
stepping,
it.
and Dustin stepped like 5 or 6 other takedown attempts. So it's like, I knew that there was going to be some people that gave Islam round 2 because of the takedown, just the optics. I didn't want to reward that. He got his takedown stuffed all round. I thought Dustin won the damage battle. He got a takedown late. I don't think that wins you a round. It was a close round. I have the word close in all caps in my notes. It was a close round. I just don't think that final takedown like wins you the round if you're Islam, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I have it in my notes that like the argument is essentially is Poirier's damage outweighing Islam's small control time mixed with damage, and it's essentially just I like I said, I scored it for Islam, but it's like I have coin flip, I have super close competitive. I mean, I have all the words to describe it as 50-50, so I have no problem with that to Dustin.
And like it's to the same tune. Like I'm not like ultra bullish, like dying on the hill. I just that like Dustin's work a little bit. Yeah, I like how he was stepping those takedowns most of the round.
Now, round 3, once again, a little more like round 1. A lot of Islam control, him kind of avoiding damage, and honestly landing some of his own shots. Like Islam does a good job of landing his own shots.
I think that's when that right hook started to land for Islam. He was kind of landing that at will at points of this fight. That's probably his best strike, his best weapon on the feet.
You know what was crazy was he was getting his takedowns stuffed more and more and more as the fight went on, and it was firing Poirier up more and more and more. By the end of the third round, like I thought Poirier lost the round, but he looked like he was fired up. Like he fully believed, like, oh, I can knock this guy out.
That's a good way of putting it, because I too gave round 3 to Islam. I thought it was pretty close, but yeah, like Poirier stuffed a couple of takedowns. He got up from a couple of takedowns. Like he won a couple exchanges on the feet. Like he had success. Like I have that in my notes. Like Poirier had success in the round and fought a good round. This doesn't necessarily mean you win the round, but I
agree. It's like the body language didn't reflect who actually won the round, because Poirier was so like juiced about how the fight was starting to take place, and Islam was so like he could feel it unraveling. He could feel him losing the control of the fight in that moment.
Well, yeah, I thought like round 3 was kind of like foreshadowing for round 4, which
bingo. Which this is the hill I will die on. Is there's a judge that scored 2 for Poirier but not 4?
Yeah.
You got to score 4 for Poirier. You got to. I didn't score 2 for him, but I definitely scored 4 for him.
Because that's
the elbow is crazy. I mean, that cut is like, it's a good 2-inch cut down the center of Islam's face. The blood's in his eye. It's clearly affecting the fight. I mean, that's damage and effect.
Islam got one takedown, but Poirier got up from it. I'll say the strike numbers were very, very close. Like closer than the eye test would have you
strike numbers close, damage not.
Yes, agreed. So yeah, like I said, I gave 2 and 4 to Dustin, which is consistent logic, which is kind of like the point that you're making. If you give him 2, got to give him 4.
Yeah, somehow Eric Colon did not, which is crazy to me. Because by that logic, I think you should have 2 judges here that have it 38-38. You have Saldi Mato has it 39-37 like I do. I don't think that's crazy. I think 2 38-38s and a 39-37 is very reflective of how this fight felt going into 5. That being said, also the body shots for Dustin in round 4 were crazy. I thought those were going to win round 5 for him, in all honesty.
Yeah, those were sick because Islam kept grabbing that like tie clinch. I was listening to weighing in today with Josh Thompson and John McCarthy, and they both made 2 points I wanted to bring up on the show. Josh Thompson was saying that like he was getting nervous when Islam kept going to that tie clinch because of the body shots, and then Poirier with the little dirty boxing kind of hockey
those uppercuts. Well, he landed
Diego
a couple
Lopez
too.
Style uppercuts. He did. He was having. I thought Dustin basically won all those tie clinch scenarios. Josh Thompson, who trains with or trained back in the day with the AKA guys, like he knows those guys, and he was saying that like he was losing his mind, wishing that Islam would stop doing that tie clinch with Dustin. And then second point, Big John was pretty bullish that Islam won the first 3 rounds, and I was kind of disagreeing with it. But now you can say who am I to disagree with Big John McCarthy, and you would be right. I would have to shut up. But I don't know. He was just making it seem like it was clear and obvious, and I just would push back a little bit on that.
2 is murky. 2 is a close competitive round, especially with like new scoring and damage being so much more meaningful, because Poirier did more damage in round 2. I don't think that's a debate, in all honesty.
Yeah, and Islam, like we said, didn't do dick with that takedown and got a bunch of takedown stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to bring up those 2 points real quick. But yeah, I have it tied up. So I have the winner of 5. The fight, and you have Dustin needing to finish going into 5.
Which I thought was fully on the table still. I thought the finish was fully on the table with that cut in Makhachev's face, the body shots. I felt like he might slow down with his striking defense. The takedowns weren't happening. Honestly, he gets lucky catching Poirier in a scramble position to get this finish.
Yes, I agree.
Yes and no, because like it's luck that Poirier just his head and neck end up there from the scramble. But it is also expert level technique that Makhachev is able to transition sub to sub to sub and finally get a Darce.
For sure. The only thing I was going to push back on is like how I didn't have that much confidence that Dustin could get a finish, because while he did cut the forehead with the elbow and while the body shots were nice, he never was really landing clean on Islam's chin. Like, the uppercuts, you could say, they were to the chin, but they were short, little clinch uppercuts. That wasn't really going to put him out. Dustin wasn't landing those shots like the shot that he landed on Conor, for example.
I'll be real. I thought the liver shot was coming because I almost assumed the tie clinch he was gonna go back to it, and if he just gets to throw uppercuts on the ribs, like in round 5 against a guy that has to suck a shit ton of weight, I was getting nervous about the body shot. In 4, I was. So in 5, I was like very nervous about it.
I mean, would have been fucking sick. How epic would that have been? That would have been some real life Rocky Balboa shit if that would have worked. But I mean, much ado about nothing. Islam ends up getting like that sweet, like a Russian ankle pick or some shit they call that. He like grabs Dustin's ankle and just like swings it like a baseball bat like across his body and like gets Dustin off balance. It was sweet ass takedown.
It's a weird move, and honestly, it was like the kryptonite to a Superman strategy, because Dustin wasn't technically escaping any takedowns that Islam would get in on. Right? If Islam was getting deep on the takedown, Dustin was literally turning and just frog hopping out, which is if you're like in wrestling, I hated when guys would do that. That is so hard to stop if a guy's really explosive. That is damn near impossible to stop. It's like a running back whenever you grab him from behind. How do you stop him from going forward? You know?
You better hope that the help is on the way. That is not the case in MMA.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
But kryptonite, because like he tries to do that and ends up, Islam like realizes it and is like, oh, I just needed to use centripetal force, throw you in a circle as you try to spin out, and I'm going to get your back.
Yeah, yep. And then, locks in that Darce choke, and Dustin taps. He taps and then goes out, which I was going to give Dustin a hard time for, like, quite literally always tapping. Like
always, brother.
I'm not saying you got to be Mikhail Oleksiejczuk here, but, like, it was a choke.
Holy fuck, we'll get to that.
We will get to that, but I don't know, man. I don't want people to, like I said, arm bars are different, knee bars are different, but, like, Dustin be tapping the chokes like just every time, dude. And I'm not trying to say, oh, I wouldn't tap and I'm tough. No, nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, it is an empirical fact that Dustin always taps like the chokes. Like
he had a video with Nina Drama in the fight week leading up to it where he shows her how to do the guillotine, and then she like does it. He taps and she's like, "Really, you tapped?" And he's like, well, "I've done it before in fights. It's not rare." And I honestly kind of foreshadowed it.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the best example of just not tapping to a choke and seeing what happens is Volk Ortega, right?
Volk will never tap.
Even against Islam, Volk was in the first fight. There was a few times where he didn't tap.
Yeah. There's something said about not tapping.
Or Armand and Charles Oliveira, we just saw that fight. Remember that?
Well, dude, think about this.
Charles Oliveira?
Think about this. Kevin Holland even admitted after his fight that he was like, yeah, I was kind of going like practice room, and then I realized like, oh, he's not going to tap. And it's like, that's a thing where the guys actually like get to a position and they're like, oh, he's going to tap. I have the position. Sometimes just being a dog really shakes guys and like gets them out of their spot.
No, for sure, man. So it's like the only knock on Dustin, right? It's literally the only knock. Besides his submission defense, he's basically the perfect fighter. Seriously. The takedown, like, I mean, maybe not the offensive wrestling, but like the takedown defense, the power, the boxing, I mean, he can get his own subs off on occasion. Like the offensive jiu-jitsu is not bad, but just the defensive jiu-jitsu is just a glaring hole in the Poirier game. I mean, from my vantage point.
Fully agree. I think Poirier is pretty much done. I think if he does want another fight, maybe you could get a welterweight fight with Colby. Would be fun because they hate each other, and that's about all I'd want to see at this point for Dustin. I don't have any lightweights I want to see him fight at this point. I don't think there's a point to it. He's fought all the best ones. If you're giving young guys a chance, I guess, but why would he do that?
Yeah, man, in my heart of hearts, Dustin Fiziev would be a sick fight, but like that's not going to happen. And why would Dustin want that fight?
Like,
and,
why would he
that's
do
not,
it?
Yeah. No, I agree, man. I agree. And then even going to welterweight, like Dustin's made it clear that like the only reason he's retiring is because there's no path to a title. And like I don't think beating Colby gets Dustin a title shot at welterweight. Now with Islam wanting to move up, now with Gary, now with Shopcott still never fought for the belt. Dustin would be like fifth in line. And
Yeah,
he admittedly doesn't have like 4 fights left in him to like climb that welterweight ladder. I feel like you're saying like grudge match, one night only.
More the emotional, like, all right, I'm gonna get this last one, I'm gonna get a payday, like I'm gonna get this guy one, like I'm gonna get my opportunity to him before it's all said and done.
If he feels strongly, I want what Dustin wants, man. Like if Dustin wants to be done, then it was a hell of a ride, it was a hell of a run. And if he wants a money fight, sure. Also, like Conor beats Chandler, I can see that maybe like. I think Sanko on the post-fight show was saying that it was like kind of a cool concept of like Dustin and Conor fought at 45, they fought at 55, a third one when they're a little older at 70. Just to switch one little wrinkle up so it's not just a rerun episode. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing I think about that is Dustin said it's like so much it's taken out of you fighting Conor because it's such an ordeal to get to the fight. But yeah, let's talk about here's where I think the biggest conversation on this fight before we keep it pushing is what's next for Islam, because we starkly disagree.
Let's get to it.
And let me give you my reasoning for why I feel that he shouldn't get the shot at Leon. And it's not that Sarukian deserves the shot at lightweight more than Islam deserves the shot at welterweight. Because I think Islam, like, he doesn't have to prove anything against these lightweights. However, the performance that he put on shows he's very beatable. And he's only defended the belt once against a lightweight. I'd like to see him get one more defense.
See, here's where I'm going to push back on that narrative. Because it's not a false narrative. It's just like, he was, all right, fighting was not ranked in the lightweight division, Volk, right? Oh, excuse me, he was ranked 1 pound per pound. Is that not like worth anything? Like, it's not like he's fighting just like random featherweights or like, no, I just think to call Volk like, oh, he's fighting featherweights. Like, I just think that's so dismissive and kind of just disingenuous. Like, it doesn't really paint an accurate picture. Like, yeah, Volk's 5'6", sure. Like, that's a thing. But like Volk, like, it's not like, I mean, Volk cuts a ton of weight to make featherweight. He's just strong. At the time he beat him the first time, he was quite literally the best fighter in the world. So just to be like, oh, he's just fighting featherweights, I just think that's an oversimplification. Doesn't paint the whole picture. You're not the only one saying that. There's a lot of people saying that. I just disagree with fighting Volk at the time when he fought him is not just at featherweight.
Okay, to be fair to the full picture, he turned down Gaethje and took Volk instead. How about that part of it? Where he turns down a lightweight to fight a featherweight. Because he says, in his own words, I need more than 4 months' time between fights. Bro, I'm tired of that. That's some pussy shit. Don't reward this guy.
See, I think that's a different argument. Although I feel like Islam, I think I read something somewhere where like Islam was like the 3rd most active champion. Now, it's more of an indictment on the other champion than it is. But I think the whole Islam thing is a little overhyped.
My indictment's he's turning down the lightweight opportunity, and so then Gaethje books a fight because he's ready to go, like he wants to fight BMF, and that fucks everything. And then Volk is like, and now Islam's in a place where all he can do is fight Leon. Like, he's kind of cornered himself into that, and I hate that, and I don't think he should be rewarded for that.
Man, I'm just saying, if Gaethje beats Holloway, Gaethje turns down that Holloway fight for the BMF. and I know this, if ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, the world wouldn't be hungry. I'm just saying, like, if Gaethje turns down the Holloway fight or wins the Holloway fight, I just feel like even a conversation. Like they for sure would have fought. And I don't necessarily knock Islam for like wanting to fight on his timeline. Like he is the champ. Like
if you're gonna have your cake, and do you want to eat it too? I guess like Islam just gets to call all the shots.
I'll say
he's not subject to any other fighters' regulations and champion. Like all the other champs don't get this treatment.
Quite literally the best champ. So if you want to give your best champ special treatment, like that wouldn't be the first time it's ever happened.
I don't know that that's true. Pantoja's probably the best champ because he just fights everyone anytime. He doesn't have any say in who he fights. They just tell him who he's going to fight. If you're an organization, that's your best champ. Not the guy you have to like pick and choose who he fights.
Harrison, get the fuck out of here.
No, from an organization standpoint.
With a straight face. Yeah, the organization that Pantoja makes so much money for, selling 270 pay-per-views. Like, Pantoja, when Pantoja's like, almost debatably loses to the number 10 ranked guy in the world.
Yeah, but check this out. Hey, Pantoja, you're fighting July 1st. All right, cool. Hey, Pantoja, you're fighting August 6th. All right, cool. Hey, Islam, you're fighting August 4th. Nah, I can't fight till October. That's not my favorite champion.
The other argument is Islam probably makes more money for the company in that one pay-per-view than Pantoja does in 3.
O'Malley makes the most, and he is way easier to deal with than Islam. O'Malley doesn't pick and choose.
And O'Malley fights once a year too, and for some reason you don't have a problem with that.
That's the UFC's booking. That's the same thing with Conor, where they choose to do that because they are milking the fuck out of it. I can't stand that from the UFC's standpoint, but I'm just saying that, like, Sean has said, I want to be active. I want to fight Merab. He's not running away from any challenge.
I just don't think Islam ran away from Gaethje. I think that's like
Sean might be the best champion, in all honesty, because he draws the most. He's down to fight guys that are bad matchups, and he's fought killers at bantamweight. All killers.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sean Strickland. That might be a good segue.
Yeah, we could go ahead and keep it pushing because we're obviously now. I will say, final point. Best fight is Islam Leon. I'll give you that. 100%. That's the best fight.
Well, and that's where I'm coming from. That's just a fight that I want to see. Like, if I'm going to spend my $80 and I'm going to spend my Saturday night watching a fight, and you're giving me the choice, like I said, maybe we're looking at it from different perspectives. Maybe I'm not putting on the Dana White cap. Maybe I'm not playing the matchmaker cap. Maybe I'm just saying I'm Dominic. I'm a UFC fan. I'm a UFC podcaster. The fight I want to bet on, the fight I want to talk about, the fight I want to spend my Saturday night watching is Islam Leon. Maybe that's just like an oversimplified caveman argument, but that's just the fight I want to watch. I think that's the best fight.
All right, final question before we keep it pushing. I know I said that early, but final question before we keep it pushing. Who wins, Shavkat or Islam 170?
I'm taking Shavkat.
Yeah, Shavkat's reaping that guy. He's reaping him.
Talk about maybe getting plus money on Shavkat.
I don't think it's that close either. I honestly don't think it's that close. Shavkat's chin is way stronger. He hits harder, and I think he can defend the takedowns almost every time.
You know what, though? I'd be nervous with Shavkat on the feet, though. Even though I'm a Shavkat fucking pole smoker, Shavkat Jeff Neal showed us some holes in Shavkat's striking defense. I mean, he has a chin.
Steel smoke down the middle. It's crazy.
He did, but he was eating it. He was eating it often, and like somebody out there could potentially like, and maybe Leon, maybe it's Islam. Islam was landing some big right hooks on Poirier, knocked out Volk. Like I'm taking Shavkat. Point well taken. I'm just saying, like, I'll say that if you give me plus money on Shavkat, I might get a little hard.
I also think Leon harder matchup for Shavkat than Islam. We can keep it pushing. Yeah. Speaking of Sean's that sell, and we do have another point of contention here about the UFC and how they view Sean Strickland, which we'll get into. We got Sean Strickland taking on Paulo Costa. Strickland obviously ranked number 1. We both talked about how he probably did beat Dricus du Plessis in their fight, but it doesn't matter, right? Like it's a 1A 1B kind of a thing, and Dricus might be a more fun champ for moving forward matchups type shit. Because of the Israel Adesanya sell, because he hasn't fought all these guys. Strickland's fought a lot of these guys. So there's fresh matchups.
I hate this. I hate this take. I hate it so much.
No, just hear me out. Hear me out. Sean Strickland minus 260. Paulo Secret Juice costume number 7 plus 210. We both had Strickland by decision. This is our bet that cashes and kind of saves our pocketbook.
Saves our ass. Yeah, pulls our wallet out of the fire. We also had Strickland money line on a parlay. And we got it at minus 230. So shout out to Caesars at El Dorado. But yeah,
this is also
my decision at plus 145 as well.
This is a split decision, and Dave Torelli is drunk. He had to have been drunk for the whole card because he had 3 cards where I was like, the first fight of the night. It was like, you scored that for Raposo? It was like crazy type shit.
Dude was on full bullshit. Like seriously, like this was bad. Like we were saying, like Islam Dustin, there was a couple coin flip rounds, a couple subjective moments, a couple, what do you value? Bro, this was one-way traffic. I mean, I guess I'm being a little hypocritical. I did think 1, 4, and 5 were close. However, I gave all those rounds to Sean. Like I just thought they were like competitive rounds. They weren't like one-sided rounds. They weren't dog walkings, but I mean, I'll let the cat out of the bag here. I scored a 50-45 Sean. But I just said rounds 1, 4, and 5 gave me like a little bit of cause for pause. I had to think about it a little bit. Had to, but I said I gave Sean every round. So, of course, I think the guy that gave 4 rounds to Costa is out of fucking line, is completely on bullshit. But, I mean, how'd you score, brother?
Yeah, so I had it 49-46 Strickland. And that's with the 4th to Costa, 5th to Strickland. And in my notes, I have 5th to Strickland. Final 2 rounds, very debatable, as well as round 1 in retrospect, is what I said. So I actually realized, like in real time, like 1, 4, and 5 were the close rounds.
1, 4, and 5 were close.
2 and 3 are Strickland, and it's not debatable. And Dave Torelli scored 2 and 3 for Costa. Both of them. He scored 1 through 4 for Costa and 5 to Strickland.
That's even worse. I didn't think it could get any worse. I legitimately didn't think that scorecard could get any worse.
Yeah, 1 through 4 to Costa.
It's the worst possible scorecard conceivable. It's like the anti-scorecard. It's literally the anti-scorecard.
Well, yeah, because there's the one judge that has 49-46 doesn't agree with me. He has round 1 to Costa and 2 through 5 to Sean, and then Chris Lee has 1 through 5 to Sean.
I like that. I kind of like that better than yours, if I'm being honest. The Costa leg kicks in 1. I think was probably his, like, it's subjective. Scoring fights is subjective, but like if you want to view it through the lens of like which round was Costa closest to winning the fight, I think it's round 1.
I have a weird take with leg kicks, I think, and I think it might be a me thing that I need to change. But I don't value early round. So like in a 5-round fight, rounds 1 and 2, leg kicks I don't score as much because they're not immediately effective typically. Sometimes they are, and then it's like, I'm, or checking a kick, like, I'm noting that. But when you're whipped, like in the Lima fight against Raposo, like, how effective are those kicks? Like they didn't.
Well, I thought these were different. I thought these ones did do something. I mean, Sean was switching stances. There was a lot of swelling. His whole leg was red. That's where I would push back and kind of like where we saw that differently. I view these different, like. And Paulo Costa, just knowing how hard he kicks, he's known as like a very hard kicker. So like maybe that context factored in as well. Like if there's one guy I don't want to eat a leg kick from, it's probably Paulo Costa.
True.
He throws everything so hard, like he literally he doesn't have like a flicky leg kick. Some leg kicks will be slappy, kind of flicky, almost like a skateboard, like how you kick flip. It's like ankle flick. Like these were like full turn your hips into it, like Joe Rogan does on the heavy bag. Like those were big kicks.
Yeah, but what's weird is like, and honestly, the kicks were alarming at round 1 because that is the way to beat Strickland. Because if you make it where now this fight visually, was it not odd to you that Costa was just like swimming backwards the whole fight and Strickland was there like jumping knees forward to like close distance the whole time?
Well, it wasn't weird. This honestly, bro, if you went back,
this is exactly how we broke it down. This matches
our breakdown. Yeah, I was about to say. We said that Costa was going to get out volume. And we said that Strickland was going to walk forward. We said that Strickland was going to have the better cardio and the better output, the better volume. A lot of people said that, but like we nailed this breakdown, and we nailed the Kevin Holland breakdown. Even though it's kind of the anti-breakdown, like I was like, all the stuff I was saying, like, if Kevin does this, and it makes me nervous that he might not, but if Kevin does this, he'll win. And that's how he won. So I don't know. We
100%
nailed
true.
this
And it wasn't even like he chose to do that. Like, he got put there and had to do that. But hey, our breakdown was like, we should be his coach at that point. Like, we literally painted the path to victory, and he got to be forced into it.
Those are the two clips I made into shorts, and they both did pretty good on YouTube. So a lot of people saw them. So shout out, definitely come out smelling like roses on that one. But yeah, man. I mean, like I said, there were some close rounds. I just think the optics of Costa moving backwards the whole fight, and also like once again context. Like Adesanya moving backwards for 5 rounds looks very different than Paulo Costa moving backwards for 5 rounds. Like, we know that's not a part of his style. We know that's not what he wants to be doing. If it was Adesanya doing it and he was pumping a long jab and countering and landing leg kicks, then I think just us as fans and as knowledgeable fans would value that differently and maybe optically interpret it differently. But everybody that knows MMA knows that Paulo Costa does not want to be going backwards. So, like, to score rounds where he's moving backwards the whole round is just tough for me if you just want like a caveman breakdown.
I couldn't agree more, and I think our original breakdown of Paulo Costa being a poor man's Duplessis is spot on here, because like Dricus did move backwards in their fight when he fought Sean, but what he was able to do was be defensively explosive. So whenever he would lean out of range from Sean's jab and 1-2, he'd fire back and explode forward with 2, 3, 4, 5, and get Sean to actually have to move backwards in defense. Costa would kind of stand his ground, fire back, and then continue to move backwards, where Sean could then hold the spot and then continue to move forwards. When you get Sean on his back, on his heels, actually moving backwards, he is not as good of a fighter. 100% not.
Oh, no, for sure. That's why, like I said, if this fight was going to come down to whoever was moving forward. Sean was moving forward all 5 rounds. Now, I'll say it. There were some spots in rounds 5 where Paulo Costa was finally moving forward, finally having some success, was winning the significant strike numbers, but then he got knocked down, and I thought Sean Strickland like stole round 5 with that knockdown.
That's why I think 1 and 4 are the closest in rounds, in all honesty, and I think 1 and 4 are close for different reasons. Like 4 is where Paulo realizes he can actually go forward, whereas 1 is him being super effective with the initial strategy.
For sure. And then, like, round 5 was close, but also had a clear winner. So it's like, I guess, is it not close? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like,
weird because it's like
easy to score, but close.
It was almost like I thought Costa built on his success from 4 into 5 until he got knocked down and lost the round by getting knocked down. But he was building success for a solid 7 minutes there in the fight. But overall, with the way it's scored in 5-minute segments, yeah, I mean, you can get all 5 to Strickland with no problem here.
Man, all right, now let's Strickland obviously wins. Split decision, which is insane. One judge gave 4 rounds to Costa. Like, that's gonna be such bullshit whenever like new fans in 4 years are looking on Tapology, like, oh, this must have been a close fight. Like,
I said this was like, as bad as the Cheeto Sandhagen scorecard, which is identical analogy. Because Cheeto winning 48-47 versus him losing 50-45, real scorecards. This one, Paulo losing 50-45 and winning 49-46. Like, they're equally unbelievable.
Worse though.
Yeah, this one is worse. And he scored him 1 through 4, not even 5. Like, if he had gone 1, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 4, 5, like, at least giving Strickland 2 or 3. All right, maybe I can agree that you're somehow seeing the same fight. I can't even say you're seeing the same fight if you give Strickland 5 but not 2 or 3. Doesn't even make sense.
That's like an opposite day scorecard. Like,
right, like it doesn't even make sense.
No, it's absurd. It's absurd. Also, I think we failed to mention 3 bonuses went out in the main event. Fight of the night to both guys and performance of the night to Islam. I just wanted to touch on that real quick before we get too far down the road.
Dana ball washing, giving him $100,000. My God.
I viewed it differently. I thought it was an indictment on the rest of the card. I thought he thought that was the only fight that deserved money.
If Hafez and Gall weren't both cans, they could have got that $50,000. If their names just meant a little more, I promise. But let's keep it pushing. This next, we got to talk about what's next for Strickland. Costa, I don't care as much. I'll be honest.
I think Costa, you got to feed the like an Ikram because that fight was already booked once. I think you got to rebook that fight. Because back then Costa didn't want it, wasn't big enough of a name, blah blah blah. I don't fucking care, Costa. You're two L's in a row. That you'll do as you're told. You'll do as you're told. Like you're fucking Michael Chandler.
Just shut you sign on the dotted line when I send it to you.
But I think you got to feed Ikram, or you got to feed Paulo to maybe an Ikram, maybe a Kyle Baralho.
What about a
You know
Brendan
what?
Allen?
Maybe him, maybe
I
him,
thought Paulo
maybe
Brendan
him.
Allen seemed fun.
Not gonna happen, but would be epic, and they're mirrors of each other. Michelle Pereira and Paulo Costa would be sick.
Ooh, very
That
fun.
not gonna happen, and
You
I
know
don't think
what?
Paulo deserves that.
Very fun or not very fun? Because I could see them both trying to go backwards from each other.
No. Michelle Pereira is too much of an idiot for that. He's too much of a meathead. He's gonna do like a front flip, like round off, yeah, no. You never have to worry about that with old Michelle. But yeah, no. Cost, like I said, I don't think sounds harsh. He almost deserves like punishment. Like I don't know. You could argue he didn't deserve this Sean Strickland fight. This was a huge opportunity.
So that's
coming off an L and a couple L's.
Yeah, that's my argument, is that he's number 7, getting a shot at number 1, coming off an L. Like, this felt like all favors for Costa. So now we don't owe you favors, buddy. Like, now you're gonna take some L's for us.
I think maybe Bo Nickel even. Like they gotta use him to build somebody else. You got to pick your poison. Whoever you want your next middleweight star to be. Is it Bo Nickel? Is it Ikram? Is it Kyle Baralho? Like I think you got to use him to like build somebody up.
Or are they going to do some bullshit and do like Anthony Hernandez?
See, that's what I hope they don't do. Or like a Delidze, some bullshit like that.
It's a Hermanson. Like I could see some bullshit.
Apex main event ass type.
Right, to sell it based on the names. God damn.
I hope that doesn't.
I want to talk about next
now
for
we
Strickland.
can keep it pushing. Yeah.
Because,
next for Strickland.
Yeah,
you're right.
Well, because I thought he should have got the rematch to begin with. Like I thought he got shafted having to fight number 7 after a close decision loss and being the champion. It wasn't like he was challenging for the belt. He had the belt.
I think part of that was the fact that Whitaker and Hamzat were booked. I think if they weren't booked with each other, Sean would have found himself with one of those guys. I think that's part of the equation here, part of the story that needs to be told. But point well taken. I still agree with the overarching point. Man, I think Sean Strickland's the best middleweight in the world.
I do too.
Is he bad?
I do too. I have him as number 1 in my power rankings. Like I had him beating Drickus, and I had it that night. Like I never moved him out of 1.
You're right. When you're right, you're right. So I think Sean Strickland's the best. And Sean told us, man. He said, "I'm taking my oars out of the water," as Chael would say. Like I'll call me whenever the title shot's ready. If I'm next guy, the guy after that, like my next fight's for a belt. He's got a little money stacked up now. He's not as desperate. He likes coaching the other guys in his gym. Not coaching, but sparring with, kind of being a mentor.
Being a team captain.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He's a good team captain. Like he really is, because he'll walk through the fire to show you how to walk through it.
He'll be the best team captain. I don't think like Aljo's like that level of team captain or like.
No. Yeah, really, like, Who else is just an absolute...
Maybe Sean O'Malley, but probably not.
You could have argued Gustafsson at All-Stars before he retired.
Like when Glover was still fighting and still coaching at Pereira.
Guys like that.
But he's transferred to like almost like a Khabib type. Yeah. As far as active guys, Sean's a hell of, does that role so well on some Ray Lewis type shit. But yeah, man, Sean deserves to fight for the belt, man. And Izzy does not deserve to fight for the belt. I'll say that too. I think, man, I think they should have done Izzy Hamzat or Izzy Bo Nickel or something like that. Like, I don't think Izzy deserves the title. And, like, I don't care, bro, because they said N-word in the fucking octagon. Like, I think that's overhyped. I think this Dricus Izzy hype, I think it's being overvalued by the company. I think a lot of people already forgot that. So, I mean, yeah, they can fire the clip back up and get it going back around on social media. I think people forgot. This sport moves so fast, cards every week, storylines every week. I don't think people are still – and maybe I'm personalizing it. I don't care that much about the whole Izzy Dricus beef. I really don't. I don't think they deserve each other. I think Dricus should be fighting Sean, and I think Adesanya doesn't deserve a title fight. So, like, by definition, I hate that fight, and I don't think it deserves, like, either guy deserves that fight.
From a marketing standpoint, and this is going to sound so shitty, but it's just unfortunately true, casuals are going to love, like, insinuated racism. So essentially, like, Dricus has not actually been racist at any point, but being a white South African and saying you're the first African champion is clearly a shot at Izzy. And casuals that don't actually understand he's South African are just going to see that and be like, holy shit, this guy's a crazy racist. And they're going to be sold on it because of the story. But in reality, it's like not
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit to sell. Now, that being said, this was why Sean didn't get the rematch, because the UFC knows selling Izzy versus Dricus sells more than Sean versus Dricus. And that sucks for Sean because he's honestly better than both those guys.
And your whole point was built around the casual, which I'm not going to push back on that kind of point of your point, that part of your point. I just think it may be like more of a broad stroke lens zoomed out. Like, as a business model, like, are you trying to please the casual, or are you trying to please the people that give you $80 a month?
No, no, you're trying to please the casual, because me and you buy the Pantoja cards
we're
no
gonna
matter
buy
what.
It anyway.
Yeah, fuck us.
Yeah.
Like we're fucked. Fuck us, like literally.
Take it for granted type shit.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be here regardless.
Right.
You're right, dude. It just sucks that
it's abuse.
Right. You know
it's abuse
saying?
Of us, because they know that we'll buy it no matter what. So they're like, fuck those guys. They love our product. Fuck them.
Because like every time and this has been my experience. Maybe my algorithm's different than y'all's out there, but like it's been my experience that every time this Dricus Izzy fight has been tried to be sold to us or pushed down our throats or whatever word you want to use, then the whole comment section is just like, Izzy Dricus rematch, Izzy Dricus rematch. And they're all the hardcores like us, MMA accounts, like hardcore fans. And so like there is I just talking about how big of a fight Dricus Izzy would be. And it is a big fight. I'm not dumb enough to like naive enough to say it's not a big fight. I just think that like Dricus is also a big fight. And there is a market for it. There is an appetite for it. You're right, maybe it is more of a hardcore fan. But like the hardcores want it. There's YouTube comment sections and Instagram comment sections, hundreds, if not thousands, of comments. Back. Sean deserves the rematch. Sean never lost the belt. Like that's all the comment. Like the people out there, like Chael always talks about. The first step to getting a fight being made is getting the mandate of the masses, and I guess it like depends on your definition of the masses. Like. Hardcore UFC fans want that rematch, and I'll throw myself in that group.
I'm going to lay out a small conspiracy here, and then we can keep it pushing. I think the UFC has been, like, behind the scenes building UFC Africa for, like, 9 months now. Like, they've been building African fighters that we're slightly unaware of, but, like, Thimba Garimbo, for instance. Why are they building him so much? Because they're going to do a Pretoria or Cape Town, South Africa card headlined by Izzy and Dricus, and they're going to have all the African fighters on it, and it's going to sell $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate.
I hate it. I hate it. It's the truth, but I hate it because Sean gets shafted. And why? Because he speaks his mind, and like the UFC, it's kind of like an uncontrollable dog. Like, you can sick it on people, but when you call it off, does it stop?
Yeah, and this is where we were kind of arguing a little bit over text, and I just don't see it. Because like Sean, like Dana, everything Sean does, Dana does. All the people Sean pisses off, Dana pisses him off. Like, I feel like they're on the same team, saying the same shit, pissing off the same people.
Their life values align, but their dollar values don't, if that makes sense. Like, Sean doesn't make the same money that Izzy Dricus does, so Dana's like, money eyes, whereas Sean is like, this is what's right, is that I get this opportunity. So he is not viewing it in the money lens, whereas, like, that's their separation, is like, Sean doesn't view things in money, Dana definitely views the world in money.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, I think whatever arena Strickland Dricus is in, even if it wasn't South Africa, you think that's not selling out? Like that'll sell out too. Like I don't know. Like what's the difference? Like I guess.
Well, it's selling out, but you've never done a UFC Africa, and you literally have two guys born in Africa that like the world wants to see fight. It's just the best timing of all time for the event.
But that being said, I'm glad Sean's sitting out. Like it would suck if Sean had to fight a Brendan Allen. I mean, I'll be real. The Sean Cannonier rematch is intriguing, but talk about a fight nobody wants to see. But like, I wouldn't mind seeing it. But talk about a fight nobody wants to see. And Cannonier actually fights Imavov next week, which once again, talk about a fight nobody wants to see. But man, let's keep it pushing. I think we hammered that dead horse to death.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think fairly enough, because the rest of these fights are just simply not going to matter as much. You could argue this one does, because it maybe saved the card at the point it happened at. Middleweight, which isn't always the case for Kevin Holland here, but middleweight tonight, minus 280. taking on Michal Oleksiejczuk, plus 225. Yeah, man, this fight does not last long, but holy shit, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm gonna shine my own wheels on this one because my breakdown of this was so on point. I was
Except
saying that,
for
like,
Holland getting rocked and losing completely on the feet.
Well, no, I was saying that if hey, it's on the YouTube Shorts. Go check it out. I was saying that like I said, Oleksiejczuk has crazy power, and that Holland's got to be like, if he's gonna stand and bang with him, it's gonna be issues. It's gonna be problems.
Fair. Because I pushed back about Holland's chin to your point, which is still a part of the breakdown of this fight somehow.
Because I mean, Michal lands a piss missile left hand and
sits. It should have slept Kevin Holland. Like, holy shit.
He cocked that thing all the way back to Poland, man. He fucking swung from the hip.
He brought it from home. Clean,
dropped Holland straight to his back, and then from that knockdown, is that whenever the grappling sequence begins?
Yeah, that's when Oleksiejczuk dives in and Holland catches him with one arm in, one arm out.
And ends up transitioning to the armbar. I don't know. At first I thought it was going to be controversial. I haven't really heard much or seen many people pushing back on it because technically Oleksiejczuk never taps, but his arm does dislocate.
Kenneth asked me if I thought that stoppage was warranted. He did ask me, like, was that stoppage correct? In my opinion, yes.
Made me question it just because, like, the precedence is murky. Because, like, we've seen them not do, or like Makhachev, for example. We just saw when Makhachev got knee barred, didn't tap, came back, won the fight. I fail to see how this is much different than that. I mean, but then there is precedence on the other side, too, like with Jamal Hill. Like, I think there's precedence on both sides. I think you could find examples.
I can give you 3 examples off the top of my head that are extremely notable of when the refs have stopped it because someone broke their arm or joint.
My point is I can probably give 3 on the other side. I just gave...
maybe.
I mean, Tony Ferguson, we saw that. And then Makhachev, that's 2 for sure. Maybe I'm capping, maybe it's 2, not 3, but point with holding.
I think the problem is, and then you could do Evloev with Diego Lopez. I think the problem is specifically with knee bars, you'd have to rip the knee completely opposite for a ref to like actually realize like it's popped. Because then when the knee pops, it's still so much bone structure that's supporting it. Like with the kneecap and everything, and like 4 major ligaments, like it's hard to tell when it because when a knee pops, it's like a ligament's popping. It's not like dislocating the full knee. Like an elbow is pretty much 2 ligaments, right? Like UCL and like RCL. So like, I mean, if one pops, pretty much it's gonna dislocate at that point because it's only
like a chicken wing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's like with Jamal Hill, armbar, ref stops it. With Big Nog, Kimura, shoulder breaks, ref stops it. With, God, it's another armbar I'm thinking of. Who's the big son of a bitch? Frank Mir and Tim Sylvia.
Frank Mir, yep. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and then you also have Brandon Royval, and I can't remember who he was fighting, but when his shoulder dislocated.
Yeah, and then like when TJ Dillashaw's shoulder went out versus Aljo.
Yeah. Like, so it's like it's the visual of you not being able to pick up your arm is meaning you can't defend yourself. And in my opinion as well, I think the ref in the corner are supposed to protect the fighter from themselves. That is written into the rules.
I'm fine with the stoppage. I think it was kind of worth having a conversation about. Like I found myself asking the same question as Kenneth. Like as soon as it happened, I got on Twitter and was like, I wanted to see what people had to say about that because like I could see, but I'm fine with it personally. I'm cool with it. I thought it was a good stoppage.
I thought it was a good stoppage. I also think in Tony's case, because he's the only arm example we have where it doesn't get stopped when the arm pops, the round ended before that happened with like 12 seconds and the round ended. So he escaped by round in, not by like getting out or the ref watching his arm be broken and displayed broken. That's where I think the problem comes is that Holland breaks it. Oleksiejczuk, you see him like, and then he doesn't tap. Like he's clearly dealing with the pain. But then Herb Dean or whoever it is staring at it and he can see the bone popping out of the middle of his arm and he's like, I got to stop this, man. Like this dude's arm can be so fucked.
Well, and Big John, which who better to have an opinion on this than Big John McCarthy?
What he say? Perfect.
Yeah, he was all for it. he said that he said he used to give fighters a speech in the back saying like, "Hey, if you're fighting to get out of the submission, I'll let it go. But the minute I see a dislocation or a break, I'm stopping it." And then he also said that like basically Oleksiejczuk wasn't defending it. It's kind of like unanswered, like undefended,
he was just
intelligent
toughing.
defense. Yeah, intelligent defense. Just the same way it applies to strikes kind of applies to this too. Like he wasn't trying to get his arm out, and he wasn't.
I didn't
like,
think about that.
Literally just
think about Chris Moutinho versus Sean O'Malley. People say like, should that have been stopped? He's not defending the strikes. Like because he's not knocked out is not defense.
That's not the letter of the rule. Like, yeah, so it's like he's kind of brought up like an intelligent defense argument, as well as that the fighters are notified if something breaks or dislocates, they're told in the back that like it's over.
Yeah, bro, and that's protecting them from themselves. That's just fair.
And like I said, it wasn't like Oleksiejczuk was literally just laying there. It was almost like that meme where the guy's on the gallows and he looks and he says first time. Like he just kind of like accepted his fate, right? Like he was just laying there. He wasn't really like wriggling or changing the angle or trying to get the elbow out. Like he was just like, fucking, if he dies, he dies, you know?
Well,
so
and
like
Kevin Holland, to his credit, like had it locked in and like looked, and you could see him say something like, "Are you not gonna tap?" Like he acknowledged like to Oleksiejczuk like something, and then didn't get a response, and that's when he started laughing and cranked back on it as hard as he could and broke it. It was like, oh my god.
That's crazy that we talked this long about this fight. This fight only lasts 1:34 seconds, but like Harrison let it all off with a lot happened in that short amount of time. Kevin Holland gets a performance bonus. Love to see my man catch a check. And then he had a pretty good one-liner on the mic after the fight. He was like, "I'm the best fucking gatekeeper you've ever seen." And I thought it was cool because gatekeeper's like this avoided word, right? Like nobody wants to be a gatekeeper, but like it's like him owning it. Because usually it's the other way around. Usually gatekeepers are trying to convince the world they're not a gatekeeper, and we're all like Anthony Smith, we're all like, dude, gatekeeper.
It's the perfect example of like those South Texas boys, Derek Lewis and Kevin Holland, are the antithesis of Anthony Smith. Like they're just fighting to get paid. Fuck a belt. I'm not hanging around for a belt. This is my profession. I do this to get paid. And meanwhile, Anthony Smith's like, I only want a belt. I'll fight for $25,000. Just give me a belt.
Yeah, not gonna happen. And like I said. It also makes people come to your defense. Like when Anthony Smith tells the world on ESPN that he's not a gatekeeper, it makes everybody hop on Twitter and be like, this dude's definitely a gatekeeper. But like Kevin Holland, I saw multiple examples of he gets on the mic and says, "I'm the best fucking gatekeeper you've ever seen." And then I saw podcasters, pundits, fans, everybody was like, I don't know if Kevin Holland, he might be selling himself short. Kind of the self-deprecating nature like makes people want to like prop you up, as opposed to like you try to tell everybody your shit don't stink and people want to tear you down.
Right,
I just thought it was like
because me and you will sit here and be like, "Oh, Kevin, you made a deal with Wonder Boy, you wouldn't take him down." Like, "Oh, Kevin, you took a fight against Hamzat on 18 hours notice." Like, we'll make all these excuses for him because he won't do it for himself, even when he should.
Yeah, for sure. And like to the overall arching question of like, is Kevin a gatekeeper? I think so. I think he is.
185, 100%. That's 100%. So like, and that is why I bet on him. Because I 100% don't think Oleksiejczuk is inside the gatekeeper.
Fair, good analysis there. Have you put Kevin Holland in your middleweight power rankings at all? I did. It was kind of fun, like little thought experiment to play with.
I haven't, but looking at it, hold on. I'll say 19.
That's exactly right.
Let's go. Let's go. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Ahead of Joe Pyfer and behind Bo Nickel.
I think Bo Nickel beats him. We have the same 19, 20, and 18.
Yeah, I think Holland beats Pyfer. Weird. I think he's technical and athletic and like quick, fast enough, and I don't think the size will be too much of a problem for him. And I think he'll be able to get out of the way of some of those big looping shots. And obviously, I think he can grapple with Joe Pyfer. But yeah, Bo Nickel, we've seen him do, like the Brunson fight still is in memory of these fights where these wrestlers can lay on top of him. Bo Nickel would be a nightmare matchup for Kevin Holland, but Kevin Holland would take that fight. Make no mistake, Kevin Holland's not saying no to that.
You know what fight would be super fun is Kopylov and Holland. I mean, we'll get to it when we break down the Kopylov fight, but that fight, I have that kind of circled in my book.
And then I have Kevin Holland ranked higher at I moved Kevin Holland. Actually, my welterweight. I've come full circle, bro. I had to have a deep, honest look in the mirror last night when I was doing my welterweight power ranking.
Oh, you moved
And I'm
MVP
like
up? Good.
5. Yeah,
Yeah, you motherfucker!
I know. Hey, that's the thing about me, though. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I will. I don't like it, but I'll admit it. Yeah, dude. I mean, like I said, like Bilal Muhammad's not beating MVP. I don't think, and like I have Bilal at 5, or at least I did. I don't think Jack Della's beating him. I don't think Sean Brady's beating him. I don't think Jeff Neal's beating him. Like Gilbert Burns ain't beating him. But also like I think Kamaru Usman could beat him. I think if anybody could figure out a way to get MVP on his back, it would be Usman.
I agree.
But that being said, I have Kevin Holland at 13 because I had to put him above Buckley. Like, let's not forget he has that win over Buckley, knocked him out. And so Buckley's at 14, Kevin Holland at 13. I had to move Renat Fakhrudinov down. I've been trying to come off the hype trains a little bit.
The draw with Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos isn't aging the best, and it also just showed Fakhrudinov has a great 7 minutes and a bad 15 minutes.
And I remember Fakhrudinov striking looked like really, really bad. So I think that like high level strikers like a Holland, like a MVP, I mean, like even like I think like a Jack Della Maddalena would give Fakhrudinov problems. I think they could like accumulate damage, and maybe they get taken down in the first round. But the second, third round, I think 100%. They can just get that. Yeah, I think they start piecing them up. But that being said, this is not the Fakhrudinov breakdown. We have many more welterweights to get to, so that conversation will kind of be one rolling conversation. Do you want to touch on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, or kind of who cares, right?
That's not who cares for me, just because he's a guy that's like, let's just put him up in a fun matchup, like just like the Kevin Holland matchup. Like, did he deserve it? No. Is it fun? Was it fun? Hell yeah.
Hey, let's give him. Have you already fought RoboCop?
Oh no, but that would be fun. Horse Meat Rodriguez versus Oleksiejczuk. Honestly,
I think that would be
for
fun.
Oleksiejczuk would be super fun. Someone's going to sleep by an atomic bomb.
Yeah, I'm here for all those matchups for sure. Or
I also don't hate Anthony Hernandez and Kevin Holland, although I think Hernandez beats Holland.
Yeah, I think it's a tough matchup style. But, man, let's keep it pushing, man, to the heartbreaker, crying our beer moment, the parlay buster.
This dumb motherfucker from Fortis, man.
I was about to say, or are we the dumb motherfuckers for betting on a Fortis fighter?
Yeah, kind of. We acknowledged it in our breakdown. Yeah. I mean, and he's the favorite here, which, like, you'd think Alex Morono minus 260, taking on Nico Price plus 210. Like, Nico Price, one of those guys where it's like, hey, just don't fall for, like, super weird unorthodox shit, and, like, you'll win the fight. And Morono's just so unathletic, bro.
Everybody got this one wrong. Everybody. Chael was so shocked by this result that he made a video about this fight. Chael's never made a video about Alex Morono or Nico Price in like the 5 years I've been subscribed to him. Like, he does not make videos about this caliber of fighter.
Bro,
he was just like shocked.
Say?
He tried to kind of like be very nice to Morono, saying that like there's so few guys on the roster that could be that tired and not find a way out. We always talk about Chael talking about guys finding a way out.
I am not going to say anything nice about Morono. I just want to go ahead and put that out there now.
No, me too. That's why I'll quote Chael. I'll cite my source there. But yeah, I know, because we're going to be very not nice. Fought like shit, lost to a guy that he shouldn't fight to. But also, this may just be like a matchup thing where he has the other loss to Nico Price, and now he's lost twice to Nico Price. Like, maybe Nico Price just has his number. And even talking about Big John and Josh Thompson, Big John made a very bold statement. He said there's not a single skill that even after this fight, after both fights, like Nico Price is not better than Alex Morono in a single category. Maybe outside of being
athleticism.
Tough. Maybe. I mean,
Morono might be negative on the athletic scale, man. I'm not even fucking kidding. Like, that shit is crazy. Having no bend in your knees is crazy.
Nico Price is like known for having some of the slowest hands in the UFC.
Super slow. But
to use athleticism in the same term is like kind of hard for me.
I'm saying if it's on a scale of 1 to 10, like, yeah, Price is a 1. Morono's like a -2, dude. Like, he owes me athleticism.
I feel you. It's tough. It's tough.
Like the stationary hands with the chin high up and bouncing on his tiptoes with his knees locked. Dude, he looks like he's trying to jump off a diving board. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It looks weird.
It looks like a kid that you took out of a computer lab and told him to fight.
And I gotta say, disagree with the judges a lot. What round did Alex Morono win? I thought it was 30-27 Nico Price. I don't even really have like a close or a coin flip or like I bullishly give this 30-27 Nico Price. Like, am I tripping?
Yeah, I scored the first to Morono. That's the same round every judge scored to him. It was just like,
okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'll be wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong.
It wasn't that it was like clear. It was just that it was a weird and wild first round where like my notes say like I could make a case for Price, but I'd rather make the case for Morono if that makes sense. Like that's literally what my notes say. So it's like one of those rounds where it's like visually it probably favored Morono, but numbers wise it might have actually favored Price.
Yeah, and I'll give my argument for Price just to kind of state my case here on my side of the aisle. Here is just like I did thought Price landed cleaner. Like I thought, and that kind of goes without saying. Morono has zero power, so like shot for shot.
Oh my God, the lack of power. The lack of power was insane.
Like, he makes Sean Strickland look like Ngannou. Like,
oh my God! Like Morono makes sparring look like it's a real fight. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? He makes light striking look hard.
He makes the Basharab bros look like they're gonna fight for a BMF belt. Like, dude, yeah.
Like he's point fighting purely for points, not.
But
for
it's
damage.
weird because point fighting is associated with like long straight shots. Typically, he throws nothing but hooks.
Athleticism.
He throws nothing but hooks, but just has like nothing on the hooks. You know what I mean? It's like all arm. It's all arm. There's no sit down.
Zero striking defense. Like he's lucky that Nico Price is such an unorthodox striker because like a good down the middle striker is fucking flooring Morono.
When it's not like Nico has some crazy chin. Like we just saw him get floored by the ghost of fucking Robbie Lawler. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like he has some crazy chin that's just eating the shots. Like, yeah. So like I said, between Nico Price's like power or Morono's lack thereof, however you want to view that, and I thought Price, kind of won the scrambles, or at least like at least forced him to be 50-50. Like I just also, yeah, I don't know.
Can we talk about how like, dude, we've watched Morono fight plenty of 15-minute fights. I've never seen him look this dog shit after 6.5 minutes.
No, and apparently he took this fight in short notice.
Dude, I don't give a shit about that. I'll be honest. Like, yeah, I've been out of shape, but like, there's something mentally where it's like you just know what a 15-minute fight is, if that makes sense. And like when he fought Buckley and went to decision with Buckley, he didn't look fucking dog worn out, tired in the third. When he fought Court McGee, he looked tired, but just as tired as Court McGee. And I've never known Nico Price to be some sort of cardio like warrior.
Well, I think Morono's on the downward slope.
Like, dude,
those fights were in order. Like Buckley was before the
Morono
Court McGee fight.
Morono's fought to decision 6 times in his last 8, and he's won 4 of those 6. Like, what the hell did we watch happen last night?
We watched a dog shit performance, but I also think like that's kind of too, because even though he beat Court McGee, remember that fight was like closer than we thought it would be. I remember we were hammering Morono and he kind of made us sweat it a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's just trending downwards. I moved him all the way down to 54 in my power rankings. Like I moved him all the way down in between Nico Price and Simmelsberger, because that's why I couldn't move Nico Price up that high. He's won like 2 fights out of his last 7 or something. Like he's not that good. Like, I don't think that this win catapults Nico Price up my power ranking. I had to drop Morono. I think Morono's on the downward trend. I moved him all the way down to 54. I'm all the way at.
In my notes, I actually have started putting fade next to people that I'm fading currently, right? And then I put in parentheses the reasons, right? And this one I put pudgy, unathletic, dog shit cardio. And like,
Hey, bro, take it easy. We'll get to the Romanov breakdown here in a
second. But I'm saying, like, for a guy at 170, you need to be in shape. You need to be athletic. You need to have cardio.
That's the physique weight class, right? Like, those are the guys with all the crazy finishes, the MVPs, the Leons. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, even on the lower end, Basil Lopez's physique, are you kidding me? Like, if you stand him and Morono next to each other, be like, oh yeah, these guys fight in the same weight class and do the same. These guys have the same job. You'd be like, what? Like, what do you mean?
Like Morono looks like he could make 160 and kill himself to make 55. Like he's just unfortunately just too big for 55, barely.
I don't think he would have to kill himself. He's only like 5'11". He's just fat.
Yeah, he is, because he doesn't have that much muscle. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like, I'm making excuses for him. Like, I have pudgy dog shit cardio in my notes, brother, all right? Like, I understand this guy sucks.
To be gone. Like, it's not like he's shredded out.
I also need to add on this fade list right now, Fortis.
Top of the list.
Because, like, and our pushback on that was that he enjoys coaching so much he won't fall victim to it. No, the poison has spread to his brain. He coaches himself like a Fortis fighter.
the mind virus.
It's like so bad, man. Like this fight ruined the fucking night for me. I'll be honest. Like shout out to Dustin. Shout out to Kevin Holland, like saving me the very next fight, and then like Dustin putting on a sweet performance and like having a good speech. Otherwise, I would have fucking thrown this card away.
You needed to give me like a pep speech. I was getting emo in our group chat, bro. You had to like talk me off the cliff, dog. After this Morono fight, I was like, dude, like, what are we even doing?
Like, bro, we need to take a week off. This shit's not for us. Like, I think we're off.
Bro, I had to reevaluate my life choices, bro. So yeah, between your pep speech and fucking Kevin Holland being awesome, got me out of the funk though. But man, we got more welterweights. I kind of love like all the welterweights. They'll kind of iron out some of this middle end of welterweight real quick. Man, Randy Brown versus EZDS, Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. From here on out, you'll hear us call him EZDS.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to save a lot of time.
We both liked him as a dog. He was your dog of the week, but I had a two-legger with him and another dog. So we both liked EZDS. We did have the age called into question. And Randy, granted, even though we lost this bet, we still nailed the breakdown. We said that like if Randy Brown can like keep it clean, keep it point fighting, make it a decision, like that's gonna favor Randy Brown. We like EZDS because of the dog, his ability to make it a brawl, heart and balls, cardio, that type of shit, which kind of ended up not being a factor. Like Randy Brown was able to keep this standing, keep it clean, keep it like at range.
Yeah, no, I honestly, my takeaway from this is like, I thought EZDS pretty much showed up and was exactly who I thought he was going to be. Randy Brown was much better than I thought he was going to be. I thought Randy Brown's striking looked very clean. I thought he looked very sharp. He was not like overly aggressive, but was picking good shots.
Yeah, he looked very much like in control, right? Like he didn't look like he was reacting. He was setting the distance, managing the range. Yeah, fighting at his pace. Like I said, didn't get lured into the brawl, which EZDS has lured everybody he's ever fought into a brawl. That was our whole breakdown. That's why we picked him. We're like yeah, like we both said that like if this looks clean and if this goes to decision, favors a guy like Randy Brown.
That being said, when it got dirty for about 20 seconds in the second round, Randy Brown got dropped, got his back taken, and almost got submitted in that instance where he decided to just let it be a dirty brawl. Outside of that he dominated.
That was round 2, right?
Yeah, and I scored round 2 for EZDS because, like, you floor a guy, you damn near tap him out. Yeah, I know he got reversed with 18 seconds and almost got choked himself, but, you know, that's something he also did to Randy Brown, and he also clearly won the damage battle. So I thought round 2 EZDS, no problem.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Also, we got to talk about the fumbled eye poke. Just the
what the fuck? This ref, dude. Gasper Oliver should never ref a fight ever again in his life. He fucked it up three different fights where a guy like
missed a headbutt.
He missed a headbutt. A guy got kneed in the nuts, and he was like, he turned around and once they were separated, he turned around and it was like, all right, let's go. Didn't ask the guy, are you good? Same thing with the eye pokes here.
Same thing with the eye pokes.
And then when he did call the eye poke, was like, all right, you poked him. All right, let's fight. It's like, no. You need to go make sure that guy's cool.
It was quite literally like if an NFL ref, it's like 7 yards for a holding. Like it was just like he didn't apply the right.
Yeah, like
the rule was like that's not even the rule. Yeah, just like an arbitrary, like that's the best analogy I could think of. Like, or somebody jumps off sides and the ref moves the ball 3 yards instead of 5. Like it's just like objectively wrong. It wasn't like a nuanced thing. like it was just like objectively wrong.
Right, like the formality of like, hey, this happens, this is what we do. This happens, this is what we do. He was like, this happened, I'm going to do my own thing here.
Or just like a basketball ref being like, all right, yeah, you get 4 free throws this time. Or you get no free throws this time.
Or you get 3 to make 2. Like, you're shooting 3 to make 2. Like,
just like
that's old rules, brother. Like, that's not a thing.
Like literally just random scenario generator. Like, just like, yeah, it was bullshit. It was really, really poorly officiated. I felt bad for EZDS, though. Like, that maybe factored in.
I agree.
The rest of that round, like blinking out his eye, and like he obviously wasn't like 100%. And Randy Brown did win that round, and he won the second round. So like if EZDS, like if that's handled correctly, maybe he recovers. Maybe he wins the second half of that round. Like, I mean, you know, once again, if ifs and buts were cherries and nuts, the world wouldn't be hungry. But I'm just saying, like,
yeah, but usually our ifs aren't if the referees correctly via the law of the like illegal action. Like that's not usually an if.
Yeah, that should be bankable, right? Like that should be bankable.
Like that should be a hard set parameter of the fight.
Yeah, dude, just really, really poorly done. And then another eye poke in round 3 would be the second one and no point deduction. I mean, yeah, this was just number one bullshit. Bro.
I thought Randy Brown could have lost a point. He also grabbed the fence at one point.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, just really, really poorly officiated. That being said, like Randy Brown still fought really well, still won the fight. And man, it's crazy. I'm kind of, I guess, a Randy Brown hater, even though I kind of don't want to be.
I thought he looked really good, and at 33, you got to accept he's in his prime with good length and good athleticism and good power. I like Randy Brown. I actually moved him up a considerable amount.
Me too. I've been 18.
Oh, fair. That's right. Where I have him at 19. So yeah.
Yeah, I have him right in
like I think he's a player. I think he deserves to fight for a top 15 spot.
Yeah, him and Buckley would be a good fight. You know who I really kind of wouldn't mind seeing? It'd be kind of cool for both guys. And you know I'm a ball washer on this guy, but Michael Morales. I think that would be a banger.
Would be a good fight. Would be a fun fight.
Wise, I mean, because Luque already has a win over him. It was a while back.
Well, Luque is booked against Nick Diaz. Like, that's a weird fight.
That's a weird fight. Also, this wouldn't really make sense for Randy Brown, but as a fan, Randy Brown-Brian battle would be sick. But I doubt that'll get made. But.
Yeah, but Buckley was telling someone to go fight Brian Battle, and I thought that was a hilarious take. Buckley's been talking all the shit, man. All the shit.
Yeah, I saw that. That was one of the few things Buckley said in the past 2 weeks that I actually liked. He was like, "Go fight Brian Battle."
Yeah, he's like, "You go fight Brian Battle. We can talk about that maybe."
Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, and then EZDS, bro, it's crazy. I really still can't. Speaking of Brian Battle, I had to drop him down, and he's one spot ahead of Brian Battle at 24. I'm at 21. I battle at 22. Mainly called MMA Matt. The Fakhretdinov fights, like he fought Fakhretdinov to a draw, and Fakhretdinov had his way with Brian Battle. I mean, I know that's MMA Math. Doesn't necessarily always work out that way, but that was fairly recent. I feel like common opponent. I don't feel like that's the worst way. Like I don't feel weird dropping Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos below Brian Battle. This is the battle testedness, the guy he fought, the common opponent. So, but yeah, I couldn't drop him too low. Like I don't think he's like bad at fighting. I think he's still a tough night out, and he's still a very good fighter. But yeah, not upper echelon, but. I think if you throw EZDS in there with a can or even a koozie, he's going to make quick work of him.
Yeah, I think he's still like elite middle tier guy.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that wraps up the main card, man. Not our favorite main card.
Hey, but way better than the prelims.
Yeah, prelims were dog shit, but we talk about every single fight on every single card, so we're still going to talk about it here. But yeah, Randy Brown on the way up, getting real close to ranked fights. Morono shit the bed. Kevin Holland's fucking awesome. Poirier fought better than we thought he would. Still took the L and still tapped. Sean Strickland's the best middleweight in the world. There's your fucking cliff notes.
Yeah, no, I love it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out that prelim video. I know we said they're terrible, but you might actually find some good betting insights moving forward. We had some young guys that showed out and some young guys that underperformed based on our expectations, but we'll be bringing that to you next. Like I said, like and subscribe.